You scroll the company feed. The product launch post sounds sharp. The webinar promo 2 post down sounds like a different company. The LinkedIn thought leadership on Tuesday sounds like a third one. Every asset is technically on brand. The logo is right, the colors are right, the tagline is in the bio. But the voice is sliding around, and the people who care about the brand can feel it, even if they cannot name it. Hi, I'm Asher, and you're listening to Content is Currency. Over the next 8 minutes, I'm going to show you why brand voice almost always drifts the moment you scale past 5 creators, and the 3-part voice system that keeps 30 creators across 12 markets sounding like one person wrote the lot. Quick note before we start. This is voice consistency, not brand strategy. Let's go. Here is what is actually happening when your brand voice drifts. You hired a brand book in 2019. It was beautiful. It said the voice is confident, warm, and direct. 6 years on, you have 30 people writing for the company. Each one read the book once, 4 years ago, and has been improvising ever since. The new social manager thinks confident means hyped. The new product marketer thinks warm means soft. The new agency thinks direct means blunt. Every individual asset passes a brand review because every individual asset cites the brand book, and the brand book is so loose that anything passes. The result is 30 assets a week that are each defensively on brand, and that, lined up next to each other, sound like 30 different companies. The book is not the problem. The book is too thin. Picture a family recipe for a sauce that has been passed down for 3 generations. Grandmother wrote it on an index card. A pinch of salt, a glug of olive oil. Cook until it smells right. Grandmother could make it. Mother could make it because she watched grandmother. The cousins, who only have the card, each make a different sauce. One is too salty, one is too thin, one has somehow ended up sweet. None of them are wrong against the card. The card is too vague to be wrong against. A brand book that says confident, warm, and direct is grandmother's card. It works for the people who watched it being written. It drifts the second you hand it to someone who did not. The fix is not to throw the card away. The fix is to write down the pinch. Why does every brand voice end up like grandmother's card? 3 reasons, all structural. 1, the brand book is written in adjectives, and adjectives are interpreted. Confident is a different word to a 24-year-old social manager than it is to a 50-year-old founder. Both of them think they are nailing it. 2, there are no examples. Or worse, there is one example, 6 years old, that everyone has stopped reading. So the writer guesses what the voice would sound like in a Slack post or a webinar or a LinkedIn comment, and the guess drifts a little every time. 3, there is no voice gate. Nothing checks an asset against the voice before it ships. So 30 drifting estimates accumulate. And by the time anyone notices, the new voice is the average of the drift, not the brand. Here is the system, and it is 3 parts that fit together. Part 1, the voice spec. 5 traits, 5 anti-traits, and 5 example pairs. Each trait has an opposite the brand is not, and a paired before and after example that shows the difference in a real sentence. Part 2, the examples library. A growing collection of sentences pulled from real shipped work tagged by trait that any writer can scan in 2 minutes before they start. Not the brand book read in onboarding and forgotten. A living gallery they actually pull from. Part 3, the voice gate. Before any asset ships, it goes through a fast voice check, either by a named voice owner or by an AI assistant configured against the spec that flags drift and proposes the on-voice rewrite. Spec, library, gate. 3 parts. Part 1 is the voice spec, and it has to be sharper than your brand book. 5 traits, 5 anti-traits, 5 example pairs. Trait 1 might be direct. The anti-trait is not blunt. The example pair is a real sentence in both modes, so a writer can see the line. Direct says, here is the system, and it is 3 parts. Blunt says, stop wasting your time on a bad system. Same point, different brand. The pair is the lesson. Every trait works the same way. Confident has the anti-trait hyped. Warm has the anti-trait soft. Curious has the anti-trait wishy-washy. 5 traits is the right number because it is small enough to memorize and big enough to cover the actual surface area of voice. The spec lives on 1 page. Part 2 is the examples library, and it is what keeps the spec alive. Every time a piece of work ships and an editor or a brand lead says, that is exactly the voice, it goes into the library, tagged by trait. After 6 months, you have 60 real sentences tagged direct, confident, warm, curious, and whatever else your 5th trait is. New writers do not read the brand book and guess. They open the library, scan 5 examples per trait, and start writing. The library is the spec with the receipts attached. The brand book is theory. The library is practice. The library compounds with every shipped asset, and it is searchable by trait. So the writer is always 1 click away from a concrete sentence in the right voice. Part 3 is the voice gate, and it is the part that stops the drift from accumulating. Before any external asset ships, it passes the gate. The gate is either a named voice owner who reviews against the spec, or an AI assistant fed the spec plus the examples library that scores the draft on each trait and proposes the on-voice rewrite. On a small team, the owner reviews everything. On a large team, the AI handles the bulk, and the owner reviews escalations. Either way, the asset gets 1 line of feedback before it ships. Too hyped, dial back to confident. Here is the rewrite. The writer learns the line by seeing the line week after week. The gate is what turns the spec from a document into a habit. You can put this in place in 1 week. Day 1, write the voice spec. 5 traits, 5 anti-traits, 5 example pairs. Pull the pairs from work that has already shipped well. Pin the spec. Day 2, set up the examples library. 3 columns, the sentence, the trait, the source. Seed it with 10 real examples. Day 3, name the voice owner. 1 person accountable for the gate. Day 4, set up the gate. If you are going AI assisted, that is a 1-hour build, the spec and the library piped into a draft review assistant. Day 5, run the next 10 assets through the gate before they ship. Watch the drift stop. Watch your feed read like 1 company again. Now go build the voice. I'm Asher. This was Content is Currency from Table 8. We'll see you next episode.